I set out to build a Honda Transalp that was the best travel bike I could make it. The kind of bike that you'd wake up and be excited to ride for 10 hours a day, day in, day out. That could easily cruise the motorway in comfort, rip some beautiful mountain tarmac, float along big dirt roads effortlessly, and be good enough off-road to really explore the world. I set out to build the Transalp into what I would call a real-world adventure bike, a bike for traveling, for seeing the planet. Now, I might be biased here, but I think I pretty much nailed it. Let me explain. When I first rode a Transalp nearly 2 years ago, it blew me away. It was one of the funnest, easiest to ride adventure bikes I had ridden in a long time. The chassis had great feel. It turns like it's a Scalextric car, and the engine had a ton more life in it than any Honda I had ridden in a long time. Legendary tester Michael Neves from MCN gave this bike 5 stars as a street bike, and I completely agree. It is a phenomenal bike, and it is a very nice bike to cruise dirt roads on too. But there are some big limitations on this front. Now I'll come to those, but holding on to or enhancing the good stuff was very important to this project. You don't buy a Transalp to make it a KTM, you buy it because it is its own thing. The engine is already a fun thing on the Transalp, and adding the exhaust system was like chili oil to a pizza. It's a little zest without ruining it. It looks rally, it's really well made, and I think it's a great value product. I like it more with the baffle in than the baffle out, and for adventure riding it's nice to not be obnoxiously loud. This seat concept seat is an elite upgrade. Now my penny pinching thinks the price is incredibly high, but my butt thinks the price is absolutely exactly where it should be. I cannot tell you how much better this is than any OEM seat or any OEM comfort seat option that I've ever used. Going tall on the seat has also made the riding position vastly better as a tall rider. Now the handlebar swap is also a huge improvement in that riding position. Moving the clamps forwards starts to stretch the seating position out a little bit much, but finding the right bend, the Renthal handlebars that I chose, has added a little more openness to the stock position, but it's way better when standing up to ride off-road. This is like a 9 out of 10 mod for me. The handguards are, well, they're fine. They look cool. I would use them again, but they are not special. And the ASV levers, I probably wouldn't use again on a Transalp. I like the product in certain applications, and it's great that they're shorter than stock for fitment purposes. The difficulty is that the Honda switches are massive, and it's also really tight around the handlebar area. I had a problem with the front brake jamming because it was fouling the switch if you didn't get the lever in exactly the right position. We're talking like less than a millimeter of clearance. The real Achilles heel of the Transalp in stock form is that it's a gravel road kind of adventure bike. It's designed with light off-road, where the tarmac ends kind of riding. The stuff you'll find in big open countries or on motorcycle press launches. Within that framework, it's a lovely bike, but if you scratch the metaphorical surface off, it has the potential to be so much more bike, and I really wanted to see what was there, to see what I could make it be. The goal of this is to build on that gravel road bike idea, to add a lot more ceiling and a lot more safety. The safety aspect is the big one for me. You can't ride a standard Transalp at 100 k's an hour on a dirt road and expect to survive or live. It would be a straight dive through the pearly gates. It's just not designed for it. So the first big step was the suspension upgrade. And I went 25mm taller for the extreme version from Tractive. This is the decision that I'm not really sure about. I didn't want to change what the Transalp is, but I would say that going 25mm taller does. It moves the dial of the off-road capability a lot. It gets much taller. Combined with the tall seat from Seat Concepts and the much stiffer springs that have been fitted, we've lifted the real world seat height by around 70mm. That's a significant change to the manageability of this bike. It creates a paradigm. It rides very well. It's not perfect, and I'll come to that shortly, but the main point is that it is a bigger bike now. It feels like a large bike that needs to be managed. The stock Transalp feels small to ride. You feel in charge, and I have ruined that. Is it a better bike for ruining that? I'm not sure. For me personally, I like that I can do more with it when I'm riding, and for real world adventure riding, there probably isn't much I'm going to come across now that I can't ride. But if you're not a confident rider or a tall rider or both, it's going to feel like you're riding a mountain.
There we go.
I don't have much data to back this up, but I'd bet the Tractive Extreme at the stock travel length with the stock seat height would be just as fun for most people adventure riding. As for the suspension itself, it is very good. It is lovely to ride, plush, and so much safer than the stock production units that Honda borrowed from 1989. For 90% of adventure riding, you will not find the limit. At the pace I enjoy to ride trails at, I could do with the valving in the fork being a little firmer. It does tend to push through the stroke a little bit, but it's not something that I think couldn't be solved with a little revalve. And to put this into context, for the money the Tractive Extreme costs, it's about where it should be performance-wise. The next leap is to go to a bigger and better fork, something like the GYTR Kayaba 48mm forks that Yamaha sell. They're £3,000. WP cone valves are like the same price, and Showa A kit is even more. Here, you're getting probably 80% of that performance at 50% of the cost, and I think that's a really good deal. On top of that, the shock is an absolute peach. It performs really well, it deals with having luggage on, and it strikes this nice balance between comfort and performance without having to fiddle with the clickers at all. Alongside the suspension, I made some other choices in this build. Let's quickfire these to get to the fun part. Motos tyres are really solid. Not the best at anything, but decent at everything, and they seem to last a really long time. The pooch screen is also great. Nice clean air on the motorway, not a screen in your face. It's better than stock for me, and I would buy again. The final step in the Transalp was making it cool. This is an aesthetic preference, and it's the kind of thing that you want to crawl out of your tent or open the garage door in the morning and love what your bike looks like. Phase one of that is the graphics. They are a Brake magazine product produced by our graphics partner at Amped. They make super high quality bike graphics, and these have been faultless. Now, I would say that, I'm selling them to you, but I genuinely think they are really good. Also, I think this transforms the Transalp. It doesn't fix the headlight, but Honda did that themselves with last year's update. Outback Motortech crash bars are 30% aesthetic and 70% function. I like that they're white, and I like that the paint gets a little scuffed and used and generates a bit of a vibe. But most importantly, they give me a ton of confidence to do what I want with the bike. They are so strong that crashing doesn't bother me, and letting other people ride this bike that I should have a lot of preciousness and care about isn't stressful either. The Transalp has been down a few times now, and I don't think you'd ever know it apart from a couple of scratches on the crash bar, and that's really what crash bars should do. Please note, Outback Motortech have been a channel sponsor for more than 2 years now, and I think they are a great company with really good people involved. And then we've got the little bits. I think the indicators are really cool. They're also expensive, unbreakable, incredibly bright, and ultimately just a nice touch. The R&G tail tidy is rock solid, and I would recommend it. The British number plate design is subpar, and as a nation we could do a better job for motorcycles. The point of a build like this is that it's an experiment, and like any experiment, we need to draw some conclusions from the evidence in front of us. Now, no doubt I've made some mistakes along the way. I don't think you should take a bike that hasn't been run in yet to a rock field and expect it to survive, but ultimately the answer is yes, it is a successful bike. Did I ruin it by doing some of this? I changed it more than I originally intended. It is now very tall, but the flip side? This bike is a truly beautiful experience to ride a long way on. I love getting on it and cruising all day. It's so comfortable and so easy to cover distance on. If a bike isn't capable, you can't really do the stuff that I've ridden on it, and I'm definitely sad that I can't add it to the stable as a more permanent fixture. The only change that I would consider for me would be a gearing change, to go slightly shorter with the gearing. The Transalp has plenty tall enough gearing to gain some rear sprocket teeth and you not really notice it on the highway. Maybe a little 2-teeth change would be more than enough, and it would bring the first gear down for more technical riding. This is a change that was heavily suggested in the comments, and I really agree with it. The conclusion though is that I think Honda could and maybe should be building this bike themselves. Some kind of version called Trail Hunter or Pro Max Rally Elite or something. I always struggle with the balance here because I do like that the Japanese brands are happy to let the aftermarket thrive with stuff like this, but sometimes it's nice to have a showroom fresh solution. Either way, the Transalp is good, it's fun to ride. It'll be great for riding a long way, and that's really the only point.